It's time for Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquardt. Todd Marquardt, attorney at law in Texas. If you're a millionaire or a thousandaire, Talk Law Radio is now on the air. Call in with your business law question, your elder law question, veteran aid, Medicaid, build a business to get paid. 210-308-8867. Or ask a question online at marquardtlawfirm.com. That's MARQUARDT lawfirm.com. And now it's Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquardt.
Welcome to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt with Shannon Salmon-Haas, San Antonio, and Erin Garcia. We're going to be talking about THRU Project and foster kids. But now it's time to help you discover your legal issue blind spots by listening to me talk about the law on the radio. Shannon, how are you today?
Thanks for asking. That's so nice. I'd rather hear how you're doing because I know you've been beefing up your knowledge. You've been at CLE. It's just constant, right?
Yes, I'm in an undisclosed bunker learning asset protection and law for the betterment of my clients and society.
Yeah, good job.
Erin Garcia with THRU Project. Are you the managing program director, or what is your title?
Yeah, I'm the programs manager for THRU Project, so I help oversee the staff and all of our programs that we offer to our participants.
Okay, well, THRU Project is something that Shannon likes to talk about, so I already know about something about it, but we want the audience to know, and we want them to know about your upcoming gala. Is it a gala?
Yes, on Saturday, September 27th.
And can people still buy tickets?
Yes, so you can buy individual tickets to our gala. If you go to our website, thruproject.org, you're able to find our gala link, and then from there, it kind of directs you to buying tickets. If you want to be a sponsor, you want to purchase a table, we still got plenty of options available for anybody interested.
It was really fun.
Before we offer those tickets, let's find out a little bit more information about you and about THRU Project as an organization. And then we'll ask Shannon why she's so passionate about foster children. But first, Erin Garcia, please tell us about your education background and how you got into this.
Yeah, so of course, like it's been mentioned, my name is Erin Garcia. I'm originally from the Houston-Galveston area, but I went to Texas A&M in College Station. I graduated in 2017 with a degree in sociology. So I always knew I wanted to work with people, help people in any way possible, specifically children. I've just always been passionate about children and just letting them know that they're seen and heard. I feel like a lot of times people are just like, oh, you're just a kid. It doesn't matter what you think or what's going on. We're going to tell you what to do. But I don't know. I just find like kids are a very vulnerable population and they have a voice. Let's hear from them. And so I was always working with younger kids, though. After graduating from school, I worked in early childhood education. So very passionate about just getting kids learning, adapting to their environment at a very young age. And so I did that for some time on top of working in after school programs, out of school time programs. So I was always with younger children in general, but it was this teenagers and the young adults was that one kind of population I wanted to break into. And so I had always heard about THRU Project. One of my really good friends from Texas A&M, she worked at THRU Project for some time, part of our development team. And so even before I moved to San Antonio, I had come to a gala, I had come to events, I would hear about it from her. And so just with the timing of my life, back in 2022, I was leaving Austin, was looking for a new opportunity, somewhere different. but not too different. San Antonio's not too far away from Austin. And a position became available there at THRU Project at the time. And again, I always wanted to work with an older youth, young adults. And so it really just became a good opportunity to step in. And so that was back in 2022. I think even the day of our gala is going to be my 3-year anniversary with THRU Project, and started off as helping out one of our newer housing programs, and really helped to build all the clients that we have that are participating in that now. Helped out with a mentorship program. So I've been dabbling in all of our programs that we have for our participants. And so this past year, I became the programs manager. I've been able to help out even more. So yeah, just a brief, backstory about me and my time at THRU Project.
Yeah, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I want to ask you some questions, Shannon, about your work on Instagram, healing the community. Besides what you're doing for THRU Project, tell everyone why they should follow you on Instagram.
Well, I have a goal. I feel like social media is sometimes pretty fake and everybody puts their best face forward. So that's not a bad thing, but it leaves people feeling like, oh, I'm missing out, or everybody's better than me. So I have this personal thing that I'm trying to do. I don't know if I'm pulling it off or not, but I want people that come into my digital space to know they're loved, to know they're cared about. I mean, you don't know where the internet could take your things that you put out there. I don't know who's going to be scrolling through that. Maybe they're having a bad day. So I just want to say, I love you. I encourage you. Have a great day. Because that's what I had poured into me, was love and support. So I apologize that my stuff is a little cringe sometimes, but if I never give anyone FOMO, and if they get a little chuckle, then I know my social media, my presence has accomplished my goal.
Good. Yeah. You're a lot of fun to watch on Instagram, because you introduce your audience to new places, new things, new foods, new outfits. And even though I'm never going to wear one of the outfits that you wear, it's still fun to see what you're trying out.
Thank you. What a nice thing to say. Tell us, can we hear about Todd's Tacos?
Well, yes, recently made a new Todd's Tacos. The taco of that day was Dove Tacos. I had an opportunity last week to hunt dove with a bunch of guys, and was successful in harvesting some doves, which is necessary to control the dove population. And I got a recipe, a way of cooking them from one of the guys that I was hunting with. His name's Joseph. You'll have to watch the video in order to find out how exactly I did it and the mistakes that I made. All you have to do is search for me on Facebook, Todd Marquardt, and Instagram, Todd A. Marquardt, M as in mother, ARQUAR, D as in David, T as in Timothy, and you'll get to see those videos.
They're so fun.
Before we move on, I want to ask about the history of THRU Project as an organization, and then we'll take a short commercial break. We'll talk a little bit about the law of foster children, and then we'll get into the detailed programs that THRU Project has. So first, let's hear the history of THRU Project.
Yeah, Shannon, I don't mind taking this on. But yeah, so THRU Project started back in 2011 from our co-founders, Elaine Hartle and Steve O'Donnell. So Elaine Hartle lives here in San Antonio, and she was a foster mom to an older teenage boy. And so, of course, she was going to support him as he was going to be turning 18 and going to be aging out. But she realized that there wasn't many community support programs or anything really they're out for these young adults as they're aging out of care. They turn 18 and they're just kind of left to their own devices. Okay, you're an adult, figure it out. And that's just not really doable at that age, really, for anybody without that kind of support. So she, wanted to start something up to support these young adults. And that's how she got introduced to our other co-founder, Steve O'Donnell. So his experience is a little bit different in that he grew up in foster care. So he grew up in foster care in New York State. And he shared recently with us, too, that he was fortunate enough to stay with the same family during that entire time, which at least provided that stability and gave that extra support. But he saw many other, foster kids coming in and out of the home and saw that their experiences were much different than his. And so one of his foster sisters, did age out of care, didn't go to school, got pregnant at a very young age, and then unfortunately did turn to substance use and sex work to be able to kind of get by. And because of that, she passed at a very young age. And so he always knew that he wanted it to be his legacy to support these young adults that, might be having the same experiences as his foster sister. So between the two of them, they're already very successful business people here in San Antonio. And so they were able to, come together with this idea, with the funding to start something up. And so it all started off as a mentorship program. They just saw, if we're able to provide at least one supportive adult to one of these young adults aging out, that can be the biggest difference for them. And we really seen that come to play with so many of our young adults. They have that person that they can go to for advice, for, support, to learn something, just somebody really for them to talk to and listen to them as they're kind of going through this transition in life and being on their own. And through that support, through that mentorship program, we've been able to provide many other programs to these young adults and kind of bridge those gaps that are keeping them from reaching their fullest potential.
Terrific. Summary of the THRU Project history. We have to take a break. When we come back, I'll be talking about some of the law of foster children, and hopefully Shannon will help me as well. So don't go away. Stay tuned.
What if you couldn't speak for yourself? A power of attorney ensures someone you trust can act on your behalf. I'm attorney Todd Marquardt. Let's put your plan in place now. Schedule your free consultation at marquardtlawfirm.com or call 210-530-4278. That's 210-530-4278. Do it before you die.
Okay, welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt here with Shannon Roberta Salmon-Haas, San Antonio, Instagram influencer and attorney, and also Erin Garcia, who is the programs manager with THRU Project. And before we get started talking about the law, let's begin with a prayer. Dear God, thank you for this day. Thank you for all the gifts and blessings that you give to us. Please forgive us for our sins, for our mistakes, for doing the wrong thing, for failing to follow your will. Please help us to follow your will more closely. Help us to take care of foster kids, take care of those organizations and institutions that help them. In your word, Lord, you speak of taking care of orphans and widows. And so we want to do that for the good of your people, for our own good, and for your glory. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, so we are talking about foster kids, and some people may not know what that even means. So how are these kids different from other kids? What does the legal term fostering actually mean, Shannon?
Well, it's it's a whole system that unfortunately is necessary. I wish that it wasn't, but there is need for it because sometimes parents are accused of abusing their children. And so if the abuse is severe enough, then the state of Texas has the power to remove children from their biological parents. And as you can imagine, there's a lot of laws and requirements. They can't just go in with zero evidence. But if a judge is satisfied that those children are in danger, then kids, any child from age of birth to age 18 can be removed from the biological parent's home. So then the state the state absolutely does step into the position of the parent, and the state is basically the parent at that point. So they call it temporary managing conservator, or it can even be a permanent managing conservator. So there are some children where the abuse has been so bad that the state has had to sever the tie, and a foster child is created. That's just a term that we use because the tie has been severed from the biological parents, and they also have not been able to find any extended family, like a grandparent, an aunt, anyone that would be willing to step up and help raise this child. So the state, our tax dollars, you and I, we are raising this child.
We're talking about foster children and the law. How do children become in the foster situation? Well, they might have parents that have both passed away, or they might have parents that are accused of abuse or neglect, where the state removes them from the home. And if the conditions are severe enough, then those children remain wards of the state, I guess is the old way of saying it. They're foster children. So, Erin, I want to clarify, are children that are taken care of by the state, where the state's named managing conservator, does THRU Project provide services for these children that are minors in that situation?
Yeah, so we do provide our services to young adults as young as 14 years old. So we do have a small group of participants that are still in foster care. But, again, all we can offer up is our programs to them. But we also have established relationships with their caseworkers and whatever foster facility or foster home that they're with. And so, of course, we have to get, permission from the state that they're able to be a part of our program. But from them, really, we always say for all participants of any age, the more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. But really, we can serve as young as 14 years old for some of our participants.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So these kids aren't living in a THRU Project house. They're living with other family members, or they're living in institutions, I guess. How does the state house these kids? Shannon, do you want to take that one first?
Well, a variety of different ways. Best case scenario, you can find family, grandparent, aunt, somebody where you would place the child where they'd be safe. And then, you've seen that there's some news coming out where the department was getting into some trouble because the state didn't have enough placements. It's a little bit of an old story, but it's still pretty shocking, where children were sleeping on the floor under the caseworkers' desks. And, so as you can imagine, that was quite a scandal. So we've always had trouble finding placements for children. It's kind of an ongoing problem. What the THRU Project is able to do is, when children are aging out of the system, I think Erin would probably tell you that the main participant, they serve 14 and up, but one of the main goals is that children that were aging out of foster care were not taking advantage of the free college that was being provided. It was some really shocking statistic, like 0.01%. And so, you're already operating at a disadvantage, you're going to want to take advantage of this free tuition. But how can you if you're working 3 shifts at your job? They don't have that apartment that's provided to them by their parents, or even a couch that you can crash on. Like, I just remember all the stuff I had as a young adult. So THRU Project comes in and provides that safety net, and they actually give a whole apartment, a furnished apartment, if they keep them Erin, I'm taking your talk. You take it, Erin.
Yeah, but before you take over, Erin, I want to clear up a confusion that I had. Back in the olden days, there were orphanages. Does that still exist? Is that still a thing?
We don't call them that anymore. But yes, they definitely are. The definition of an orphanage, yes, that definitely still exists.
Yeah, there's still shelters specifically.
A house for foster kids.
Right.
Yeah, there's shelters specifically for those that are in care. Of course, there's so many different kind of living situations. There's foster homes, residential treatment centers, transitional living centers. And so again, this is like the state trying to find all other resources to house those that are still currently in care. But again, like I mentioned, we have a small group of those that are still in care that participate in the mentorship program or come to life skill events. But we really work with those that have aged out of care. So those that are 18 years old and older. Because again, when I was 18 years old, I had the support of my family. I went to college and we were able to, pay for my apartment and all that kind of stuff. And so, even that in itself is just very fortunate for anybody. But for many of our young adults, when they turn 18, up until just recently, the state was kind of okay, you're 18, you're on your own. And, the young adults left to figure out what they're going to do next. And so many of them, couch surf, or they go back to their living situation that they were in before, which already wasn't the best situation to begin with. Or, they do end up homeless. And so they're going to shelters now as a young adult. And so we're really trying to catch them and work with them when it comes to housing, education, and employment. We call those our 3 pillars of independence. And so we say if we're able to at least tackle one of those goals, then it's going to fold into the other. And so with our organization, we do have 3 different housing programs. So as mentioned, as Shannon said, these young adults, they get college for free if they age out of care, or even if they were adopted by a certain age, they can get free tuition in the state of Texas at any public college or university. But so few take advantage of that. I think right now it's a 4% graduation rate for these young adults for graduating for college. And so we want to see that increase. But like we said, if you're worried about school and trying to get good grades, how are you going to work full time to now then afford your rent? And so we were able, to work with our young adults, because we had someone come to us. They're like, I'm going to school. I'm doing everything right. Why can't you pay for my rent? And we were like, you're right. Why can't we do that? You are taking the steps, we're investing in you. You're going to graduate. We want to see you graduate. Why can't we do that? So that's how our college housing program came to be. We work with students through the Alamo colleges, Texas A&M, San Antonio, UTSA. They all have programs on those campuses that work with these young adults that are using their tuition and fee waiver. And we get referrals sent over to us. We hear what their needs are, what their housing situation is. And then from there, we try to find apartments for them. And we pay for their deposits, their move-in fees, all their furniture, everything to get them started up in their own space and their own, home that they can call their own. And that's the biggest thing that they all really appreciate, is that, this is the first time that I have a space to myself. I don't have a roommate. I'm not having to share it with, other kids in foster care. This is the first place of my own, and it makes them feel really independent and, proud of themselves that they're able to take care of that and take care of everything that they need to do to graduate. And so We have that college housing
That's
program.
terrific.
Yeah. And we also understand too, college isn't for everybody, and that's completely okay as well too. But we want to ensure, they're doing something to ensure that they're going to get a good salary, a good paying job. And so we have a housing program for those that want to do a trade or vocational certification as well too. And so again, we want to support them as they reach that certification, as they reach that degree. And so we kind of base it around education. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much for explaining all of that. We have to take another break. When we come back, we'll talk more about what the THRU Project Gala will look like when we have all these new people buying tickets and attending and meeting Shannon face to face. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt, on the radio, on Facebook Live, on YouTube, and on talklawradio.com. Sorry, I keep coming in and out. I'm trying to get my timer to work. I think I'll just have to remember how much time has elapsed. So This is the Sinners and Saints segment because Martin Luther, the famous theologian from Germany, said famously that we're sinners, but we're absolved because of what Jesus did for us. And so I like to talk about somebody that's alleged to have committed some kind of crime or wrongdoing. And then I like to talk about somebody who's doing something really great. And the saint for this week are some unnamed people that have allegedly been arrested for having their kids handcuffed to the bed.
You said saint, Todd.
Also,
see, this is why you keep me around.
Huh?
This is why you keep me around. I always
wonder.
You said saint instead of sinner.
Oh, well, yes. This is the alleged sinner, the person that handcuffed their kids to the bed. And so I'll just ask both of you, when does that rise to the level of abuse? I mean, who gets to decide is that abuse?
Ultimately, a judge would decide that, but the caseworkers on the ground have a lot of power, so it's in their discretion. And I have no doubt that a judge would instantly approve that affidavit if it alleged that children were being chained to anything, let alone, I'm sure there were some other facts that were put into the affidavit, but the caseworker actually even has emergency powers. So if they see that, they can do that. They can remove children even without a judge's order in an emergency. And that would definitely rise.
And so you're talking about a caseworker for Child Protective Services, right?
Correct. And so if they had good information that was going on, they would take immediate action to protect those children. And then the case,
so go ahead.
The case can go on for a year or be extended even after that. But for the immediate, the laws and the statutes and all the officials involved are going to be looking at safety first. And they can figure it out later, but they're going to, they'll provide due process and constitutional rights for the parents or whatever caregiver is accused. But in the immediate, the first action is safety for the child.
Okay, so one of the hidden legal issue blind spots here is that parents have to take care of their children, or the state of Texas will take them away. Right?
Very true. Yes, that's true.
Erin, will you talk about a saint that you heard about or learned about when you were growing up?
Yeah, as I was mentioning, I grew up Catholic, went through all my sacraments growing up. And so when I did my confirmation, we got to pick a saint to represent us. And so at the time I had picked Saint Philomena, who's the patron saint of youth, children. I feel like there's a couple things too, maybe like a cat or something, but that really represented me. And like I mentioned earlier, I've always wanted to work with kids and young adults. And so I felt that really like exemplified like what I was passionate about. And no, I've come to THRU Project and, all the other work that I've done, I've been able to do that. So, yeah.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you.
This is Talk Law Radio with Shannon Roberta, San Antonio, Salmon-Haas, and Erin Garcia, Program Manager with THRU Project, THRU Project. And we're talking about helping foster children before they turn age 18 and after they, quote unquote, age out of the system. And before this, the last break, the last segment, Erin was talking about some of the programs to help foster children after they age out of the system to get started in college and to have somewhere to live in college. And so now I wanted to talk about how THRU Project pays for something like that. THRU Project probably needs to raise money. What can you say about that, Erin?
Yeah, I mean, so much of what we do, like we wouldn't be able to do it without funding, like so many nonprofits. And so a lot of the funding that we get is through grants, whether it's through foundations or the community here in San Antonio, the county. But of course, a lot of it comes from our donors themselves, people that, are passionate about this and, want to make a monthly contribution or a one-time donation. But we have our big fundraising gala coming up this Saturday, September 27th. So here at the end of the month. And that's just a really great opportunity to learn, of course, about what we do, but also enjoy the evening. We're going to have casino games, entertainment. We're going to recognize some community partners, as well as some of our participants in the program as well, too. And so, this is available if anybody wants to attend. They could purchase a ticket to this gala. I know Shannon is one of our board members, and so she's been helping out with, everything going on with the gala planning as well, too. And so Shannon will be there as well as our THRU Project staff. And so, we invite anybody in the community that would like to hear more about this, want to give back. With the evening, we're going to have raffles and live auction, silent auction packages. So there's many ways to participate, and, all of that funding goes to THRU Project and our programs. And so, we wouldn't be able to serve as many participants as we do if it wasn't for just like the generosity of our community, really.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I read on your website that you had some special recognition as a public charity. Do you know what those certifications are?
As a public charity?
Right. The THRU Project is recognized as being a transparent financially. They've been recognized by United Way, I think.
Mm-hmm.
You know about that?
Yeah, so we're part of two different United Way campaigns. One is the Safety Net program, and then Successful Students. And so we receive funding through the United Way for our housing program, specifically the college housing program, as well, I believe, for a mentorship program as well, too. So to be able to, help as many participants as we can. And so, Yeah, so we're recognized with the United Way. Another big recognition that we got this year is we became a trauma-informed care certified agency here in San Antonio. And so that took a lot of time and changes and practices to be recognized as a trauma-informed care agency. And with that, that kind of means we recognize with the participants, the clients that we serve, that they've, experienced trauma at some point in their life because of, entering the foster care system. And so with that trauma, brings up different behaviors and different signs and all these things that, they might, talk about themselves a certain way or speak on things a certain way. And we recognize that that's not them. That's coming from the trauma that they have experienced. We change our language, we change, our office and everything for them all to feel comfortable when they come to THRU Project. And so we want to make everybody feel included and safe when they're with us.
Thank you. That's exactly what I was asking about. I just couldn't find my notes. So you were able to answer that. Thank you so much. And I have heard that United Way will only help other charities that are financially transparent and do a good job with the funds that they're given. So that speaks volumes about the way THRU Project is run. Shannon, I had forgotten that you were on the board. How is that going for you?
It's been very rewarding. Yeah, thank you very much for asking. I learn a lot, and it is very, very rewarding. I never would have known how much work it is to put together something like a big gala like that, and it's rewarding is one word that I would pick. I was hoping to ask Erin, because we really focused on housing quite a bit, and a big part is the mentorship. And I remember a while back, I don't know if it's still the same, I'd have to get updated information, but we weren't getting as many male mentors. We were kind of heavy on the female side. And so when they're matching up mentees with mentors, like, for example, if someone was interested in the law or, broadcasting, they would match that person up with someone in the community that's doing that. But Erin, do you know if we're still needing more male mentors, or did it even out?
Before you answer that, Erin, we're going to have to take a break. Well, we'll come back and talk about that in the fourth segment, which is the legacy segment. So we're also going to ask you about, what do you want your legacy to be for your family? How do you want to be remembered? What do you want to achieve in the community that will leave a lasting impact? So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
What if you couldn't speak for yourself? A power of attorney ensures someone you trust can act on your behalf. I'm attorney Todd Marquardt. Let's put your plan in place now. Schedule your free consultation at marquardtlawfirm.com or call 210-530-4278. That's 210-530-4278. Do it before you die.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt here with Shannon Salmon-Haas, San Antonio, Instagram influencer and cringy grandma, who is helping THRU Project, and also Erin Garcia, who is the programs manager. And this is the legacy segment. Marquardt Law Firm sponsors Talk Law Radio, and attorneys at Marquardt Law Firm focus on business and estate law, including last wills, living trusts, and tax-protected inheritance plans. It's all about legacy. So, Erin, I want to ask you about your legacy, and then we'll go back to talking more about Shannon's question about the mentors and the mentees. So, is there some family values that you learned from those who have gone before you, or is there some special family heirloom that means a lot to you? Or do you want to talk about the impact that you want to make on the community that's going to last a long time?
Yeah, I know Shannon kind of mentioned this part. I was like, let me think about what, of course, like I want my legacy to be, of course, like I want to be remembered for, the contributions that I made to the world and the works that I've done for especially like young adults and children. But, I was like, I'm getting older and my parents are getting older. We're really trying to see like, what can they pass on to me that I can then eventually pass on? And so my dad's an accountant, been an accountant, same firm since I was born. And my brother's now getting into accounting as well too. So I know like that's their established thing that my dad wants to pass on to him. But for my dad and I, ours is a little bit more fun. We want to start a snow cone business. It's always been like a little...
No kidding.
Yeah, a little side dream of ours to own our own snow cone shop or truck or something along those lines. And so it's something that we've been talking about, but he's like, I want to start a business with you that you can take on and carry that on to somebody else. And I've been a snow cone lover forever. And it's something too, where if I did that, I would love to, do like nonprofit events and, anything like that, go to schools, go to somewhere fun and, kind of pass that joy on to somebody else. And so that's my dream for my legacy.
Yeah, no, that's great. And it reminds me of my very first business idea in high school. There was a snow cone booth that a lot of high school kids would go to. And a friend and I, we came up with this idea how we would compete with that business because we really wanted to do that too. And this was before food trucks were a thing. And so we actually found like this tiny little booth that was on a tiny little trailer. And so I asked my dad if he would invest in our company so that we could buy that for our snow cone business. And he said no, that we could still start the business. He just didn't want to invest in it. He said, well, why don't you sell snow cones out of the back of your car? And we just thought, no, I don't think we're going to be able to compete with the guy that has a snow cone stand. And so it was a bit frustrating, but it led to my second business, which was a lawn care business. And we were somewhat successful with that. It gave us some pocket money to go to the movies and stuff. But this show is not about that. That's a wonderful legacy. I'm glad that you and your dad have something fun in mind. And I hope that you'll keep me updated because I would love to help you if I can somehow. So Shannon was asking you about mentors. Tell us about your mentor program and what are your needs for that right now?
Yeah, so, THRU Project, we started off as a mentorship program. That's the largest program that we have and how we're able to serve. I think we're serving about almost 200 young adults through our mentorship program. And, we're always looking for anybody that's, willing to give, their time, energy, and love to somebody in our program. And so to become a mentor, you have to be at least 24 years old. There's an application on our website, some training to do where, we kind of lay it all out there of what to expect with the mentorship program and, what these young adults might be coming to you with. And of course, a background check. But from that point on, as far as the mentorship goes, the mentoring goes, it's really up to you and your mentee. Our mentees come to us with some goals in mind, what they're looking for out of this mentorship program. We share that with the mentor, and we really let y'all establish that relationship with each other. at minimum, we ask that you stay in contact, of course, meet up with each other at least once a month in person. But for our mentees, we say the more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. But we're always looking for, those volunteers that want to give their time to somebody in our program. And a lot of mentors that come to us, have lived experience in foster care, which is great, have been foster parents in the past, or they're just, older parents. They've already raised their adult children and they have a lot of love to give, and they want to give that back to somebody else that, might not be as fortunate. So we're always looking for anybody that's willing to, volunteer their time with us, especially male mentors right now. That's where Shannon mentioned we're lacking a little bit on the male mentor side, but really anybody that wants to give their time, we really, really appreciate it. We've had mentorships that are going on 5+ years, really, and it's come to the point where it's not even a mentee-mentor, relationship anymore. It's a family relationship, and
right.
so. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice. Well, Shannon, I want to ask you about your passion for foster kids again. For those who are listening that don't know, please explain how you became so passionate about foster kids and THRU Project and other organizations.
I worked for the department many, many years ago. So I was always aware on some level of the system, but I actually got a job working for the department on the legal side, in the legal department. And it was just, can I be really blunt that it's just a really dark system. It's a dark world. Every day at work, you just hear sad story after sad story. There's a lot of burnout. There's a lot of trauma, even like a secondhand trauma. You're not actually experiencing it, but as a judge or as an attorney, you're just hearing over and over again. It seems like there's no light anywhere. And then something will happen where you hear of these amazing success stories, or you see the mentor and the mentee together, and the mentee is just raving about how they feel so loved and supported. And it would just always connect back to this organization where they're just kind of a light in a dark place. So they can't really fix everything and change everything and just wave their magic wand. But every time there'd be that glimmer of hope, or where you hear of children aging out of the system and then just excelling, going to college and reaching their goals, THRU Project would always be involved. And it just made me remember how much love and support I had, just to get me here. I'm standing on all the love and support that was poured into me. And when you're in that system, you see how kids can just be stripped of everything. Sometimes there's not a great grandma. There's, they can't find anybody. There's not a cousin third removed. It's just a child facing the world. And so people like THRU Project and the loving, kind people over there, just, it's a sad system, but it just blows you away when you see that light.
Shannon, can you help us learn a little bit of gospel? Did you find the Bible verse about the orphans and widows?
I believe it's Timothy. My friend, it's such a coincidence because my friend had just sent this to me. I don't think she would mind me sharing that she's a widow. And so this brought her a lot of joy. It's 1 Timothy 5:8, and all people of faith have an obligation. I mean, I know you feel that in your heart. You don't need to read it in black and white. I know that you just feel it, that we all have an obligation to widows and children and people that are don't have everything that we sometimes take for granted.
Awesome. Well, the last thing I'm going to talk about before the end of the show is that movie Lemony Snicket's with Jim Carrey.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Have both of you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it, but
I
don't quiz me on it.
I watched it a lot when
good.
it came out.
Yeah, because you're so young, Erin. I wasn't sure if you had seen it because one of the other attorneys in my office hadn't seen it. And I said, if you're going to practice estate planning, you have to watch this movie because what happens is that these children, their parents pass away. And so they're orphans. And the law says who gets to be the guardian or who is eligible, and ends up being the nearest relative. And you find out what the word nearest means is not the closest relative in terms of love and affection or even lineage. If you're a parent of children, you need to name a guardian in your last will and also in a designation in advance of need for a guardian. That's it for today. Erin Garcia from THRU Project, thank you for joining us. Shannon, as always, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having
We'll
us.
talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.
What if you couldn't speak for yourself? A power of attorney ensures someone you trust can act on your behalf. I'm attorney Todd Marquardt. Let's put your plan in place now. Schedule your free consultation at marquardtlawfirm.com or call 210-530-4278. That's 210-530-4278. Do it before you die.